Classy prostitute. I never thought my life would turn out this way. When I was a little girl, I dreamed of a happy home, a loving husband, and a career that made me proud. But life is not always kind. Sometimes, it pushes you into places you never imagined. This is the story of how I became a classy prostitute, and how I learned to survive in a world that takes more than it gives. My name is Amanda. I was born in a small town where everyone knew each other. My mother was a nurse, and my father worked in construction. We were not rich, but we had enough to live. I had dreams of becoming a lawyer, of wearing a suit and standing in a courtroom, defending the innocent. But dreams do not always come true. When I was 14, my father died in a car accident. His death changed everything. My mother, who had always been strong, started to break. She worked extra shifts, but the money was never enough. Bills piled up, and some nights, we went to bed hungry. I wanted to help, but what could a teenager do? At 16, I dropped out of school. It was not a choice I wanted to make, but I could see my mother struggling, and I thought maybe if I worked, things would get better. I found a job as a waitress in a small diner. The pay was little, and the customers were rude, but I kept going. One evening, a man walked into the diner. He was well dressed, wearing a suit that smelled of expensive cologne. He sat at the corner table and watched me as I moved around, serving food and cleaning tables. When I brought his order, he smiled. "You work hard," he said. I nodded, unsure of what to say. "How old are you?" he asked. 16, I replied. He shook his head. "A girl like you shouldn't be working in a place like this. You deserve better." I did not know why, but his words made me feel warm. No one had ever told me I deserved better. At the end of his meal, he left a large tip. More than I made in 2 days. I stared at the money, my heart racing. That night, I told my mother about the tip. She smiled for the first time in weeks. "Maybe luck is finally on our side," she said. But luck is a tricky thing. Sometimes, it is just a trap in disguise. The man came back the next evening, and the evening after that. Each time, he left a generous tip. One night, he asked if he could talk to me outside after my shift. "I see potential in you, Amanda," he said. "You could be living a better life. Let me help you." His words sounded sweet, but there was something in his eyes that made me hesitate. "Help me how?" I asked. He smiled. "I have connections. You could work at high-end parties. Just as a hostess. No pressure. Just good money." I knew better than to trust strangers, but the money was tempting. Too tempting. The first party was in a luxurious hotel. The dresses were elegant, the guests were wealthy, and the atmosphere smelled of money. I was introduced to men who spoke in low voices, handing me drinks and slipping $100 bills into my hand just for sitting with them. It started off innocent, just keeping them company. But soon, the request became more personal. "Just a dance," one man whispered. "Just one night," another offered, his breath thick with alcohol. I refused at first. But when I saw the kind of money the other girls were making, I started to wonder. My mother needed help. I needed a way out. Could I really say no forever? It happened on a night when my mother was sick, and we couldn't afford her medicine. A man offered me $5,000 to spend the night with him. $5,000. More than I made in 6 months at the diner. I told myself it was just one time. Just one night, but one night has a way of turning into many. As the money rolled in, I moved my mother to a better apartment. She thought I had found a well-paying job as a hostess. I never corrected her. I bought beautiful dresses, expensive shoes, and learned how to act like the rich man's ideal woman. But deep inside, I was still the scared girl from a small town. Then I met Daniel. He was different. He did not treat me like a commodity. He listened. He made me feel human again. But I was living a lie, and I knew the truth would destroy everything. Not all men were kind. Some wanted more than what was agreed. Some didn't take no for an answer. One night, I found myself in danger. And I realized that this world was darker than I had imagined. I wanted out. I had saved enough to start a new life. But living was not easy. The people who controlled this business did not let girls walk away freely. Someone I trusted sold me out. They knew I wanted to leave, and they made sure I paid the price. I had to disappear. Change my name. Leave everything behind. But could I really escape my past? I found a quiet town where no one knew me. I got a simple job. But every shadow reminded me of the past I was running from. One night, a familiar face appeared. The world I had left behind was catching up to me. I had two choices: keep running or finally stand up and fight for my freedom. With help from an unexpected ally, I faced the people who once controlled me. And for the first time, I felt truly free. I changed my name again. Found a real job. Started over. I would always carry the scars, but I had survived. And for the first time in years, I felt hope.